Right, bit of an update. So yesterday we installed the new cam and all the associated fittings that went along with that, the buckets, seals, etc. Now, when I went to start it up last night, it didn't sound too healthy. I'm going to do the same today. The glow plug lights don't work, or the glow plugs don't work, because I've read them, they are faulty on VCDS. So it might take a little bit to start anyway. But I seem to have a bit of a fuel issue, which I'm guessing is down to the timing, because that's the only thing that I have messed with, putting that cam on and off. So I'm putting it down to that. So let's try and start it up first. So you can hear that struggling. It should fire up eventually. It'll spring into life, he says. And there we go. Now, one of two things this could be, without jumping straight into timing, but I'll show you why I think it is the timing, and I need to do some adjustment anyway, a fine adjustment, just to rule this particular thing out. It could also be the fuel pump. Not the tandem pump, but the one that is the high pressure pump within the fuel tank itself. I'm 99% sure this model should have one, and when I switch the ignition on, I don't get anything. And also when I try and initiate that in VCDS, it doesn't come on. I hear a click, but it doesn't come on. So that's one thing. So that means the fuel could be draining back as soon as I switch the engine off, and therefore I'm having to crank it loads because the tandem pump has got to pull the fuel back through rather than the pressure pump in the tank charging the lines, if that makes sense. So this will idle all day long, no problem at all. However, as soon as I apply any acceleration, it will rev, but then it'll eventually cut out instantaneously, which to me is a starvation of fuel. Okay, so we'll go on to VCDS now, and I'll show you what I mean about the value, the torsion value, to check the timing. So just go into engine module, and then go into measuring blocks, and then I scroll up until I find my torsion value, which should be as close as it can be to 0. And if you notice on here, when we get to it, you can see there how it's way out. That is, I mean, it's going from probably a minimum at 21 up to 50 in some cases. So that should be 0. So it says there the spec is -6 to +6. So I'm well out on the torsion. So that's the first thing I need to determine or rule out. Yeah, so get that sorted. So I'll now go through the process of how I actually do that to try and get that back down to within spec. So here we are back in the engine bay. As you can see, everything is back together, of course, because I started it up, although it's a hard starting. So on this here we've got 3 bolts. Put the flash on so you can see the 3 bolts. Well, there's 4. Ignore the center one, that's obviously to keep the pinion on, or the drive gear. So the other 3, 1, 2, 3, undo on them. Now you'll see on the top one how it's slotted. Yeah, you might just be able to see that. Yeah, so it's got a bit of a slotted gap by the side. The one next to it without a bolt in, you can clearly see. So just undo on them 3, and then I need to move this, which allows this to move, so the crankshaft to move without the camshaft moving. And that's where we're going to get this fine adjustment and tuning of the engine to make sure that all the valves are opening at the exact right time, depending on where that camshaft is. Sorry, the crankshaft. So that's how we can fine tune it. So I need to undo on these bolts now, and I'll just move it fully left or right as a start point, and then work my way back. Okay, so started it up. I've adjusted, and I've got it to -3.4. Yeah, the ideal is like 0. However, I'm now within tolerance of -6 to +6. So that's good. However, it did fire up straight away, which I should have done on video, but I didn't. It did fire up straight away. But again, I revved it and I thought everything was good, everything was okay, but then again it died. So I'll just try it again. There we go. So it just dies again after you've revved it. Now my guess is there, because I've used all the fuel within the filter, I'm back to the pressurise, the non-pressurizer now. So it doesn't go back. Ignition's still on. So if I go to basic settings now, and I'll test the fuel pump. So fuel supply pump activation. Now when I press this, yeah, I've done the prerequisites, switch it on and off. Now I can hear in here the relay. So the relay is working, pump on, but it ain't pumping. Now it's saying it's got 12 volt supply, as we can see by that. So I'll just investigate now, and might be a stroke of luck and it might just be a connection. However, it might be the pump. Right, let's have a look on the back. The Golf Plus, you can't just lift the back seat out and get to the fuel pump, which is about here. So there's 2 bolts here, along with some sweet wrappers, lovely. 2 bolts here, 19mm. And then we've got a cover to take off here on both sides. And then there'll be no doubt a nut on there, and then we can lift this seat out of place. Okay, so seat is out. Took the cover off, don't know where it's at, here it is. Just a cover there, prizes off, just on them clips there. Clip. Under the electrical connection. So it's definitely a pump this, and not just a sender unit, i.e. telling you how much fuel you've got in your tank. The reason for that is it's too many wires. So it's definitely a pump. So I need to get this pump out so I can get the part number to make sure I order the correct one. There's quite a few on eBay. I've just had a quick look there, ranging from about 35 quid onwards. So a lot of them are like universal. Even the petrol models will have the same pump. So I'm quite confident I'll get a pump relatively cheap. Whether it solves the problem or not, I don't know. But this is still certainly a problem because it don't work. So these are just a quick release on the side here. I've just got to push these in one way or the other. There's a song here somewhere. And then I can release these clips and then get the pipes out. I'll have to get my little screwdriver and do that because I can't do it with one hand. But I'll release these fuel lines. One's obviously the return, and one's the outlet to the actual tandem lift pump via the filter. I've just got to knock this ring off here. A ring. I'll just get a chisel on or something and just bash it round. Yeah, you meant to get a special tool that goes on and turns it, but I ain't got one of them, so I'll use the next best thing, the old hammer and chisel, and just gently tap it round. I've sprayed some lubricant. That's not wet, by the way. I've just put some lubricant on there just so it starts to free it up, so I can knock it off easy. Right, next thing you'll see is this disconnected, and well, I'll lift the whole pump out and put it on the floor. Yeah. So here we have the pump. That little dangly bit there, that's your fuel sender. So as your tank fills up, that raises. Potentiometer. So that sends a signal to the dial to raise the dial up. There you go. Yeah, anyway, we're not interested in that because that worked. What didn't work was the pump. Here we have the part number on the top. 1KO919050G. So we've got to make sure that that is the exact part number, because you'll get some where the end in an I and an H, whatever, for different variant cars. So the tab could be different, for instance, where it lines up for whatever the configuration. Your sender might not be correctly set for that particular fuel tank. It might be a larger fuel tank. So yeah, that end letter is the key. Like, you've got to make sure that it is exact. Right, so we can see actually the pump there's the little pump inside there. It's not interchangeable, you've got to get the whole unit. There's no way of actually getting these off, getting this top off. It is spring loaded there, but you can't get it out. You just put it on in manufacture, so you've got to replace the whole lot, not just the pump itself inside there. I can put a terminal on there, positive, negative, and see if the pump does actually work, but I know for a fact it won't, because it had power to it. However, that's it. That's the pump, and that's what I need. Dilly dilly.